Hey visibility hacker, good to see you here. Today we're talking about uncovering your leadership style. So if you've ever asked yourself, what kind of leader should I be? We're going to talk about it today. When we lead for the very first time, we tend to take on a leadership style that is familiar to us, which isn't necessarily the style that fits the best with us. It feels the most comfortable, but it's not the best fit. And I would know. I've worked for decades in the leadership training world and helping young leaders, aspiring leaders, leaders moving to change from one field to another, those taking on bigger and bigger roles within their teams and organizations. And boy, oh boy, is it interesting to see those moments when these leaders and aspiring leaders figure out that they have been walking a path, they have been following a model of leadership that isn't the best fit for them. And then when they figure out which style of leadership is best for them, they start to thrive, almost effortlessly thrive, because they're aligned with a leadership style that feels right to them. In today's video, we're going to talk about different leadership styles and why they matter. We'll break down your leadership role and where you fit within the ecosystem of your team. And finally, we'll dive into a variety of different leadership theories that will help you reach your leadership goals, your leadership potential. So if this interests you and you want to become the best leader you possibly can for your business, for your team, and most importantly, for your business and your movement of people, well, if this interests you, then stay tuned. I'll see you after the intro. There are 5 different main leadership styles. And of course, before we get into those 5, we'll talk about how you can take these different styles and theories and notes about leadership, and you don't have to use them like a cookie cutter. That's the great thing about leading. No team is the same as another team. No two leaders are the same as each other. And that's the beauty. So I want you to think of all of these theories and tips and tools and all of this as a starting point for you to explore. Think of it like you're painting a canvas, a beautiful painting, just like an artist would create, that is unique to you. And I'm just giving you a variety of different tools and paints that you can use in order to create your masterpiece. But you have to make it unique to you, what feels right to you and to your team and to the people who you are leading and you are inspiring. So that is my first caveat before we dive in to anything else in this video. So if you're here with me, then just give me a thumbs up. So as I said, 5 different leadership styles. The very first one is the authoritarian leadership style. This is the one that most of us actually tend to naturally go towards because that is the model of leadership we were showed when we were growing up, when we were learning how to be leaders. The authoritarian leadership style is the boss at the head of the table, the one who makes all the decisions. It's make or break. You do as I say or you're out of here. That is the authoritarian leadership style. And for me, personally, as a team member, that's not a style that really motivates me to get anything done. I find a lot of friction with leaders like that. And same when I take on that kind of leadership style and I lead teams in that way. It feels wrong. But there are certain environments where that is the leadership style that is required. But for my business, it's definitely not how I like to lead. Second style is the participative, which means that you as the leader are participating in the process of leadership. So just like every member of your team has a role in moving the work forward, a participative leader would also be joining in that as well. It would be more like a round table. If you were to step into where they have team meetings, it would look more like a round table. There's no head of the table like we saw in the authoritarian style. Third style is the delegative. I don't like these ativs. So those leaders who delegate. These are great leaders who are able to run great marketing companies, for example, because they delegate all of the work to other team members, and they're more like a project manager. They help manage everything that's happening, make sure all of the pieces of the machine that are moving at the right speed, and are lubricated and have the resources they need to keep moving forward. This is a great leadership style, in my opinion. I have a colleague right now who leads like this, and I just adore it. Seeing the amount of work that the team is able to get done because everyone is on the same page and they know what work is important that they can fulfill, and every team member really does bring their best, and I love it. The fourth leadership style is the transactional leader, and this is another one that I'm not the biggest fan of, but it might be the style that fits best for you. And this is a leader who sees everything on the micro level of transactions. So I will reward you, if I'm the leader, I will reward someone who showed up for the team and who did something well. It's a give and take in that respect. So if you do something that benefits the team, then I, as the leader, that might get you on my radar. So I might scratch your back for that. And that's kind of the corporate world as well. It's kind of like the authoritarian leaders are the big guys in the corporate world, and these transactional leaders are the ones who are trying to scratch everyone's back so their back gets scratched on the way up. It's not a leadership style, as I mentioned, that really aligns with who I am, but it's one that might work for you. And then there's the fifth style, the transformational leaders. These are leaders who help their team members transform, go from one place to another. For example, I worked with a company a few years ago who was doing a massive restructuring, and it took a certain type of leadership to help move those teams that were being impacted by this restructuring from the old arrangement and the old structure into the new structure in a way that doesn't just copy over the results that they were getting before, but it helps them actually do better. They transform and they take ownership of the processes that they're involved in. It's kind of like these leaders are mama birds, helping raise their birdies to release. That's how I think of transformational leadership. And it's also a style that aligns really well with who I am as a person. So let me know down in the comments which of those 5 leadership styles best aligns with you. Are you an authoritarian leader? Are you a transformational leader? Or are you one of the other ones in between? Let me know down below. Now, understanding your role as a leader is really important. You have to do an analysis, and I'm not going to give you the answer in this part of the video, but I want you to examine where you are in your movement, who you are to the people in your movement. Are you their guide? Are you their mentor? Are you their coach? Are you their cheerleader? Who are you to them? Are you the one who is bringing new information to them, or are you keeping them on track and accountable? Thinking and positioning yourself within the ecosystem of your teams and of your movements is essential. And then once you locate yourself, I want you to think about who is on your team. What leadership roles have they taken on? What leadership roles have you delegated to them? How are they doing in terms of that leadership? Because I hate to tell you, but every team should be filled with leaders. Not every leader has to be the loudest voice in the room. Not every leader has to be the one at the front of the room. And I tell you this because, well, I'll tell you a story. If you study wolves, I study wolves. I'm cool like that. If you study wolves and wolf packs, you can go ask anyone who doesn't study this stuff, and you go ask them what they think happens in a wolf pack, and it's quite interesting. If you look at a wolf pack, and you point to the people at the wolves at the front, and you say, are these the alphas? Are these the leaders of the group? And most people will look and say, well, yeah, they definitely are. But in reality, the leaders of most wolf packs are the ones at the back, or who are a little bit further behind. They are almost never the ones in the front. Actually, in a wolf pack, this is besides the point, but let's close this loop for you. The wolves that are at the front of the wolf pack are actually the slowest, the sickest, and the oldest because they're setting a pace for the rest of the group. They never want to leave a member of their team behind. And so instead of thinking of the leader having to be the one at the front, having to be the loudest voice, having to be the person who is the most flashiest, who is the loudest, for example, stop thinking about that. Start thinking about putting your team members first and you as the leader being the best support person you possibly could be in order for your team to succeed. So understanding that is your role as a leader of your team and of your movement is essential. Your daily reminder to make sure that if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and join us here on the Visibility Hacking channel. We'd love to have you along. Did you know that leadership is actually a genuine field of study? People devote their entire lives to researching and learning about leadership. And so because of that, cross-culturally, we're experiencing that. We're also seeing so much incredible research and theories coming out about leadership. So I'm going to share with you a couple of different ones that have popped up over the years. And of course, as I go through them, let me know if you agree with them, disagree, thoughts, all of that down in the comments. The first theory we're going to talk about is the great man theory. And this, in a nutshell, is the idea that a leader is born a leader. A great leader is born a great leader. It's not a skill that you can practice. It's in fact something that you are born with, that is inherent to who you are. Maybe it's genetic, so the idea that if you have great speakers as parents, you have very confident people as your parents, then the offspring will also carry that trait with them. This, personally, I don't completely agree with at all, even slightly. I truly believe that leadership is a calling, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. Another theory about leadership is that leadership is actually just a trait that we either have or we don't have. So whether this is something we are born with or it's like a personality trait that develops as we are socialized, it's the idea that some of us are confident, some of us are leaders, some of us are introverts, some of us are quieter. It's just a trait about our personalities. Now, I don't know, this might ring true to you. Let me know what you think down below. All right, now there's a leadership theory that feels more in line with my understanding and my experiences, and this is known as the leadership contingency theory. I know, it sounds complicated, but take the idea that we've talked about in the previous theories about whether you're born with it or it's a personality trait or something like that, but now we're going to take it a level deeper and we're going to ask, how effective is that leadership? Because you can have great leaders and put them into different contexts and they actually aren't motivating. Take, for example, a drill sergeant, doing what drill sergeants do best. And they are fantastic. They are super effective at motivating their soldiers and their trainees through their courses, through their programs, so that they can be better on the other end of it. They are amazing at doing that. And they have a particular style of leadership that in that space is really effective. Now you take that same leader with those same skills and that same leadership style and you put them in a first grader class. Do you think that that is going to be the effective leadership style and the effective leadership match for that new environment? I don't think so. And that's why I think this leadership continuum theory is so interesting, because it looks at the effectiveness in each situation. It says and rewards those leaders who are able to adapt and overcome, who find resiliency in being in different spaces. And I think it's really cool. So look at how effective are you as a leader in these different areas. And that will start getting the ball rolling of utilizing this really cool leadership theory. Let me know what you think below. Now, adding some more complexity to what we just talked about is what's known as situational leadership theory, and that now adds the level of nuance and looks at the dynamics of the team and how they keep changing. So take, for example, a sports team where you're having a change and a turnover of members of that team. It's not because the team is bad, it's because that's the nature of the environment that that team is functioning in. Maybe you're only able to be on that team for a certain year or a certain couple of years while you're in high school or university, for example. It's got a start time and an end time with that team. It's not because of the quality. That is a factor in leadership and leadership effectiveness, which is something that an amazing leader, an impactful leader pays attention to, changes, recognizes that nuance, and allows it to be part of that creative process of leading their team forward. So now let's go 360 from where we started when we talked about leadership theories. We started by asking the question of, are people born leaders? Is it naturally something we're born with? And now let's flip to the complete opposite and ask a different question. Behavioral leadership theory argues that it's the behavior of a leader, not natural attributes, that make a leader effective. So instead of thinking if we're born with it, instead ask the question, what are the actions that make this leader effective? We can think and we can theorize all we want about leading our teams, but when it comes down to it, it's about action and it's about behavior. So let me know which of those connects with you. What type of leader are you? Tell us about all of that. And if you want to know more about how you can harness that leadership of yours and use it to start connecting to your ideal customers, building your network and building your visibility, then let me know. Well, actually, no, just join me. Just come hang out. So go over to visibilityhacking.com, click the link that says Become a Visibility Hacker, and we will see you over in our awesome group. So until I see you again, my friends, remember, I love you, be excellent to each other, and go find your people. They're out there waiting for you.